KTCBroadcasting.com, the constantly updated farm website for the Carolinas. Sign up for Headline Farm news feeds directly to your computer or smartphone, or just visit the site anytime you need. SFNtoday.com from the Southern Farm Network.
I'm Lon Helton, inviting you to join me as I count down the week's top 30 with Chris Young, who confesses he has Brad bus envy.
That's the first time I've seen a bus and been like, all right, I might be jealous. The only thing I've recently added to my bucket list is he has like police lights built into his bus.
Chris Young's our co-host this week on Country Countdown USA.
Country Countdown with Lon Helton, Friday afternoons 1 to 4, right here at Big O Country. 1390 AM WHS, 1050 AM WLON, 1590 AM WCSL, and online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
All right, y'all send me on the money. How many dollars on it? What am I bid for it? Hi, this is Robert Gates, and that's the auctioneer's chant that sells just about anything in today's market. If you're considering selling real estate, land, farms, or equipment, give me a call, and I'll show you how the auction method of marketing can realize the highest prices for your assets at public auction. Call me personally at 704-472-7598 or visit us at gatesauction.com. Sold American.
High back, Santa Fe canned off. Here comes pressure, but Russell Wilson gets the pass away, intercepted. Picked off by Munro in 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Captain Carolina.
Carolina Panther football right here at Big O Country, 1390 AM WHS, 1050 AM WLON, 1590 AM WCSL, online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
We can't rule out an early morning shower in spots. Otherwise, we'll be turning mostly sunny to kick off the week. It'll be breezy with less humid air moving in through the day. We'll be mild out with highs around 70 to 75. Should be clear and breezy overnight tonight. Colder than the last few nights with lows falling into the mid-30s to around 40. Looks like on Tuesday we'll have plenty of sun overall. May have a veil of high clouds from time to time. Much cooler tomorrow as highs reach about 52 to 57. I'm meteorologist Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
Currently at the Big O Country Studios, it's 10:05, and the temperature is 58 degrees.
When you light those candles up there on that mantle.
And a very good morning to you. It's time now for the Community Profile on WLON, WOHS, and WCSL. This Monday morning, the 18th of November. Good morning to you, Sandy.
Good morning, Milton.
Sandy Alexander, the co-host and executive producer of the show. She has with us today in the studio a very special guest. Please do the introductions, if you will, Sandy.
I'll be glad to. It's good to have Rusty Stroupe with us from Gardner-Webb University, coach of baseball, and a Cherryville native. And I've been hearing about Cherryville and learning more about it and ways to get to Cherryville. And
you say, by the way, hello, everybody. When I introduce myself now and go out of town, you know, where are you from? I say Cherryville, North Carolina. And then occasionally somebody say, no, you're not, because you would say Cherryville or Cherryville. So when I'm outside the county, I usually say Cherryville. But inside the county, you can't say that, or they'll say you didn't grow up there.
That's right.
Because it's Cherryville.
Cherryville.
Or Cherryville.
Cherryville.
Or whatever.
Yeah. I get that a lot. You know, being on the radio, I try to say it properly on the radio, but you know, it's the local dialect. You know, it's Cherryville. There's Polkville without a nail.
And there's Kaiser.
And there's Kaiser.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Moseboro.
Yeah.
I'm living over in Bowling Springs now, and I've learned about Moseboro, and as compared to I used to say Mooresboro, and they said, well, you're not from here. So I'm still learning Cleveland County and Gaston County every year.
That's right. Something new to learn all the time. Well, it's just like your last name. I'm sure you get called Strap or Stroupe, different depending on where you...
Stroupe, Stropey, Stroppy. I've heard just about everything you can, especially the further you get away from here. So.
Well,
oh, yeah.
I heard of Rusty Strap when I first came to the Cherville radio station. I got here about 1981, and you were on the high school baseball and Legion baseball teams back in those days, and I had the pleasure of covering you and some great players during 1982's high school stretch run to the state championship.
And I had the pleasure of playing with some great players that, our team got a lot of recognition because of – we got a lot of individual recognition because of what our team was doing. And to be honest, it wouldn't have happened without Ken Alexander, Brad Long, Bobby Reynolds, who's the legendary coach now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I kind of rode the coattails. I enjoyed playing, but rode a lot of coattails during those times.
Well, those were fun times, great teams, and people still talk about when we sit around broadcasting Cherville baseball, we'll always get to talking about, we'll always pick an all-Cherville team, all-time Cherville team, and your name always comes up.
Am I the bat boy on that?
I don't think so. So after Cherryville, you went to college, you played some college ball.
I actually went to Appalachian State, and Ken Alexander and Brad Long, and eventually Chip Allram played with us a little bit. So we had kind of a Cherville reunion up there, and we won the Southern Conference my sophomore year, and had a real great experience at App State, and it was close enough that our parents got to come, and some of the locals came up and watched us play. Had a good time.
Mm-hmm. And from then on, after Appalachian State, did you go directly into coaching?
I did. I got my first coaching job at Mooresville, not Moseboro. It was Mooresville Junior High at the time, and I got hired to teach math, even though I was a social studies major, and they needed somebody to coach their middle school baseball team who had finished in last place the year before, and the coach said, I don't want to do this anymore. You played in college. You take it. And we actually won the championship that year, which I was real proud of the kids and really enjoyed I don't think I knew before then I wanted to be a coach. And then I got the fever then. That was 1987, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah. So after Mooresville, off to, was Brevard next?
No, I actually went to West Henderson High School for 2 years and coached up there, and then I went back to App State to be an assistant coach for one. I went to North Greenville as the head coach when it was a junior college for 2 years, and then Brevard College for 5 when it was a 2-year school, and then Lander for 5, and I've been at Gardner Webb 12.
12 years at Gardner Webb.
Which means I'm old.
Well,
no, you're not.
I see. You weren't much younger than me when I was announcing the baseball.
Right, you were young. You're a young guy.
I was a young guy.
I'm getting ready to hit the big 5-0 next week, as a matter of fact. So I'm hanging on to 40-something as long as I can this week.
You do have a birthday. It popped up on Facebook today that
my goodness,
that you have a birthday.
Yeah, I got to get off that Facebook. People know too much about me right there.
Tell us about the. Now we're on the internet, ktcbroadcasting.com. We got the camera rolling here. Tell us about the beard that you have on your face.
How about that? Can they see this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they can see it.
We have a last year at Gardner Webb, the baseball team, we try to do some type of fundraiser or volunteer community project each year to give back. Last year, we got our head shaved. It was called Baseballed. And we raised money for childhood cancer research. And it was sometime in October. I didn't go all the way to this, but I went close and realized I didn't have a lot of hair. This year we decided we wanted to do similar but something different, so we decided to go opposite. We did no shave November, so none of the baseball players, and I'm participating too at Gardner Webb, we're not shaving. And then December 4th is kind of our wrap up. We're going to halftime of the basketball game at Gardner Webb and talk about, and they're going to have us line up, and some of the guys look absolutely terrible. I mean, they got spots, where it's growing, and other spots where it doesn't. But you know what? People ask them about it, and then they're able to say, we're doing it for childhood cancer research, and half the money goes straight to Levine Hospital, where a lot of local people go with their children for treatment. So we're proud of it. I'm not always real proud of the way the beards look, but I got to be honest, mine's come out a little better than I thought. You're allowed to trim a little bit as part of the deal, but it starts a lot of conversations.
Yeah. Yep. So it might be something you just might just keep you around.
I don't know if my family is going to allow that, but after December 4th, it is a little chilly, and I go do some hunting at times. That's going to come in handy. But I'd say by Christmas, I'll probably be pretty clean shaven again. It does kind of itch and bother you a little bit.
Tell us about your family.
My family, Karen and I, have been married 27 years and got 3 boys. And Will is a student. He's actually my manager for the baseball team at Gardner Webb. And Cal is a senior at Crest High School. And JT is a middle school 8th grader at Crest Middle. And Will being the manager, people ask me about that and say, yeah, you wish he was playing for you. And I go, actually, it's much better for him. I get to see him every day and interact with him. He's somewhat of an assistant coach on the bench. He played a little bit in high school but had no ambition beyond that. But it's actually easier because there's no pressure about whether he gets to play or not play or any of that. It's kind of fun having him around. So none of my boys really took up baseball. Cal plays for Crest High School, but they've been fairly casual about it, which is fine, but they were all 3 pretty good wrestlers, and so now I've had to get into the wrestling mode.
Oh, okay.
And JT's still doing that at the middle school. So we're involved in some sports, but I tried to, as a coach's kid, I know what the pressure is, so I've tried to encourage them in a lot of other things outside of sports, and they've got a lot of other interests, and I'm real proud of them for that.
I keep up with you a lot on Facebook. You do a few things every now and then on Facebook.
How did I know that would come up
to embarrass your kids? It always says
anybody that wants to join. It's called Embarrassing My Kids 101, and I'm the administrator of the page. And it kind of happened by accident a few times, but when we're out places and I see something interesting, or somebody interesting, I just go get my picture made with them, and the kids will say, "No, don't do it. It's embarrassing." But I think deep down they kind of like it because they hold the camera and make the picture. I had every character at Carowinds this year had my picture made with. And I had my picture at Far City the other night with the nickel standing up on the counter. Me and the guy behind the counter got our picture made together. So I do embarrass my kids every opportunity I get.
It's the little things that count, Rusty.
It is. Something that makes people smile.
Yeah.
Even at my expense.
Well, they're going to have stories to tell their children.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And most of them will be true, unfortunately.
Rusty, in addition to, the busy schedule as baseball coach, and we'll talk about, it'll be baseball season here again before you know it, but you do a lot of public speaking, don't you?
I do get the opportunity to consider that a blessing and an honor and as part of the position, occupation of being a college baseball coach, it's one of the things that goes along with it. So, but I consider that a privilege, like getting to be here today. Also, in the realm of having written a couple books, and the last one was spiritual oriented, about top 10 ways to be a man's man in God's eyes. Those give me opportunities, and I try to use that as a platform, not to promote myself, but to bring honor and glory to the Lord. But it's just always been natural to me in school. I never was shy to get up in front of the class. I really don't do it to try to draw attention. I've just naturally felt comfortable in front of people. Now, one-on-one, I might be a little shy, so who knows. But, yeah, I do get those opportunities normally at churches, but also at civic clubs, sports award banquets, things like that. And I consider that one of the honors of the profession.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're talking about, you never were very shy. I remember back when you were still on the high school baseball team, one day I was standing in line waiting to pay for my food at a local grill here in Cherryville, and all of a sudden I heard this voice, "There's Milton Baker," and I looked around and it was Rusty Stroupe.
We were probably begging to get on the radio or something. We always did appreciate, back in the old days, WCSL did most or all of our high school games, and they would interview us before and after the game. You guys would, and for a high school kid, that's a big deal, and we appreciate it. I know my grandmother listened to every Legion game and every high school game ever, and she's still alive and just turned 100, and she remembers those like it was yesterday, so we really appreciate that.
See, now I know you were on the 82 high school championship team.
I was fortunate enough to be on the 1980 and 82 Cherryville High School's championship teams and the 1981 American Legion championship team, so I knew what it was like to dog pile, and that's fun. Some kids go their whole life and never get to do that, and we did it 3 years in a row.
So in 81, you won state. You went to the regionals up in Lynchburg.
We did, and played really well. Boyerstown, Pennsylvania was the favorite going in. I think they were 44-0 coming into the regional, and the night we beat them 7-5, was one of the best wins I've ever been a part of. Not just because they were undefeated, but they were tremendously obnoxious. And, we shared some hotel space with them, and they were rude, and their fans were rude. And Cherryville fans, they were perfect. Perfect
gentlemen and
they
ladies.
were gentlemen in every way. But I remember that like it was yesterday. It was a great time. We lost to to Richmond, Virginia, 1-0 on the squeeze play in the 8th, or we might have been national champions because they went on to play in the national championship game later. So good experience.
And through the years, I'm obviously you've kept up with all the local teams, especially the Legion, Cherryville teams in high school. I'm sure you're very proud of what you've seen.
I am, because Legion baseball in this area there's no place like it in America. There's states that have a good team and a good program, but we have, 5 or 6 solid programs. At Cherryville being right there at the top, Shelby right down the road being great. Caldwell, I could keep going, Rowan County and different ones. Legion baseball is still alive and well here, and I am very proud. I played ball with Bobby, and he's probably got 10,000 wins if you count his Legion, and he's probably won more games than everybody else combined. But I'm real proud of him because he's done a great job with Legion and over at East Rutherford with the program he runs. But sometimes I sneak out to Legion games not to recruit as much as just to enjoy. Because I got a special place in my heart for Legion baseball.
Yeah. Now tell us about your Gardner Webb season. You'll be starting up pretty soon.
We start in the cold. Our first game's Valentine's Day, and they don't care whether it's 30 degrees or 60 degrees. We're going to be playing Penn State at Gardner Webb. I'd love for folks to come out. I know it's cold, but they've installed these new heaters in the stands that blow heat down. And
really?
I got a contingent from Cherryville that comes to every home game, led by my dad and my uncle and a few other guys, and they are raving about the new heating system. So, we don't need it come April, hopefully. But yeah, we'll crank up when the guys get back in January, and then we play in some cold weather. But we're done by mid-May because of the college semester. So right when it gets warm and hot and ready for baseball, we're really finishing then in college. Then.
And then in the off season, what do you do to stay busy recruiting and so forth?
We do, but we have 8 hours a week where we work out. We have weight room 4 hours a week. That's big in baseball now. It used not to be. We have 2 hours a week we can do on-field work, and we also have 2 hours additional we can do conditioning. So I still see the guys every day, still have a workout. But we did that in the fall. We had 6 weeks of practice, and then now we do the 8 hours a week. It's good to be face-to-face with them every day and accountable, and there's really no off-season anymore for college athletes.
That's true. That's true, too. Coming up this year on the team, any local names we're gonna know?
Well, I don't know that we will. We will have any. We graduated Jeff Howell from Kings Mountain this past year, who's now in State Trooper School, and I'm really proud of. And Will Sellers coming from Kings Mountain High School is redshirting this year for an injury. Nick Triplets from Crest, and he'll be playing right field. But I don't have anybody from Cherryville Legion or any of or Cherryville High School right now, but I did a few years ago. But we did sign Chandler Jenkins recently from West Lincoln, and he played Legion ball here, I think, 2 years ago or so. So we like to look local. We love to keep the kids local, but we also got to recruit regionally, too, to be competitive. And a lot of the local kids, and we don't get all of them. We try hard, and then we lose some of them. Some of them have gone to Carolina and State and different places. But I think what's happened, and you didn't ask me this question, but I'll go ahead and tell you, is that I think Gardner Webb fought the Division II image for a long time. And kids always thought of, the bigger schools first, and then Gardner Webb became the if you can't go somewhere else, then try to go to Gardner Webb. And in the 12 years we've been Division I, that's really starting to change. A lot of people grow up now wanting Gardner Webb to be their first choice. And we've shed the Division II image. The basketball team beat Kentucky a few years ago. Soccer team beat Clemson last year. We beat North Carolina 2 years ago. We beat South Carolina last year. And so people are starting to put us in the same sentence with ACC schools, and we're no longer that little Division II school that's your fourth or fifth option. And that's really helped. Our teams are much more competitive. The atmosphere on campus is unbelievable. The volleyball match Friday night was the loudest, craziest crowd I've ever seen. And Saturday night basketball was nuts. Our guys were all dressed up in 80s aerobic stuff. Don't ask me for a picture of that because I probably wouldn't give it to you. It's just the atmosphere has really developed at Gardner-Webb, and a lot of people from Cherryville. I know Shelby's very involved in Bowling Springs, but even Cherryville are starting to get over there, and that's become their favorite college team instead of just wearing the Carolina and the State and the Duke. We're seeing a lot of Gardner-Webb shirts and things. So times are a-changing.
There you go. We're certainly proud to have you a big part of it over there, and doing a great job with the team and with representing the school everywhere you go, like I say, on your speaking engagements and so forth.
Well, I get to go by that beautiful college every day.
Yes, you do.
And I was telling Rusty, my little drive through the back stadium drive, I used to be my shortcut to Bowling Springs. Not anymore. Yep. There's just too much action going on back there.
Right. We actually have traffic jams now.
Really?
You got the one stoplight in Bowling Springs, and it's not New York City, but the other day it took me 4 or 5 minutes to get through there, and I said, we're not the little one stoplight town.
That's right. That is right.
Oh my goodness!
But yeah, it's really grown, and the college has a unique, as you know, you and I both, Sandy and I both live right at Gardner-Webb.
Right at the college,
you want to keep the small town niche. You want to keep the personal atmosphere, but you also want to grow with the times. So Gardner-Webb is always trying to balance who we want to be and what we want to be, and we will never sacrifice trying to be so big that you lose the rural country kind of atmosphere and the personal touch. But yet, I think Gardner-Webb has really made some steps to be a legitimate Division I university. And when I say Division I, I'm not just talking about athletics. I'm talking about an out front, kind of university where you get a quality education and a quality experience. I sound like I'm doing an advertisement. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But that's one of the reasons I was attracted to there, and that's one of the reasons I stay is because they know the balance.
Well, when you hear kids from other states say they want to come here because they feel that hometown niche that we have at Gardner-Webb that they might not can find at Penn State or these other big colleges.
And being a private Christian faith-based institution, that attracts a lot of people because we are that, not just in name only. We're trying to make that part of the mission statement and the values there. But I do believe when it's just like you say, we got a player from Ohio, and he came to one of our showcase camps, and he's a really good player this year, and he just said, when I came here, I just felt like I was at home. I felt like I was at home, that people really cared about me, and that's the kind of image we want to project, but that's the kind of reality we want to project. We don't want to give you an image and it not be true. That is reality at Gardner-Webb. We have our issues and our challenges like every university, but I believe we have a lot to offer, and people are starting to figure that out, and then not just people in this area either, people all over the nation, really.
Well, it's certainly wonderful that you could come over and talk with us today. Really appreciate it. I know things will get busy during the baseball season, so that's kind of why we want to get you this time of year, because it won't be long to be doing work
right away.
November's
kind of my time of the year where I can come and do something like this.
Yeah. Well, I've been wanting to have you on the show a long time. I told Sandy a lot about you, and always a pleasure to speak to you and see you at ball games, and good to have you on the radio.
And I'm glad to be here, and I just think a lot. I think the older you get, I told you what the milestone I'm getting ready to hit, the more you really appreciate where you've come from and who's been important to you. And I think there's a sense for me that everything I do represents Gardner-Webb, of course, and my family and my faith. But I have this underlying sense of Cherryville, that anything I do is either going to bring honor to Cherryville, make Cherryville proud, or, to be honest, could do something to hurt Cherryville. And so I'm always aware of where I've come from and who was important to me growing up. And I hope that I would never do anything to dishonor my hometown where they wouldn't want to claim me. So To be honest, no matter to my dying breath, that'll be one of my things that I would always want my hometown to be proud.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Well, they are proud of you. Everybody around here never heard a discouraging word about Rusty Strap.
Well, I got away with a few things in high school. I wouldn't say I got in trouble, but we had some mischief occasionally. But it passed over pretty quick, and I think people kind of forgive you for what you did when you were in junior high.
One question that it popped in my head a while ago, and I wanted to ask you back to the days of playing baseball in Cherryville and the baseball tradition in Cherryville.
Yes.
But you played for a coach a legendary coach, and so many of his players have gone on in the coaching profession or some association with baseball. You just can't get it out of your blood. Some players are coaches, some players are umpires, whatever.
Sure.
They've got kids. They coach playing little leagues.
You're talking about Henry Jones,
yes,
I assume. Yes, and Coach Jones and I still stay in touch, and just a fantastic coach. And I think back even now, like when something happens and I need to make a decision, I'll think, now that's something similar happened with Coach Jones. How did he handle that?
Mm-hmm.
I would also say that I was influenced by other coaches too. Henry being right there at the top, but also with Buddy Bridges coaching me in football, Don Sane in baseball with the Legion was just a fantastic human being, and Lee Debman, Frank Moorhead, those guys really had a huge impact on the way I do things now, because even though it's different sports, in some cases, your class and your character and what you stand for was very important to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, a lot of coaches, Coach Jones players have gone on to be excellent coaches and stayed in the profession, and he keeps up with us, and I can't say enough about the influence that he and all the other coaches had on all of us who stayed in the profession.
Mm-hmm. And in addition to baseball, you football, and did you do basketball and football at Cherryville as well?
I did. I played football all 3 years that I was in high school, and Buddy Bridges was my coach then, and we were small then, and we had to go both ways. So I played receiver and defensive back. In fact, Kenneth Harris broke my receiving record several years ago, and it was really kind of funny because my mom and dad were at the game, and they announced that he had broke the single season receiving record held by me, and my parents like, I didn't know you held a record. And I said, well, let's don't tell everybody, because we played 10 games and he broke my record in the 6th game of the year. He still had 4 to go, so he probably doubled it. But and I played basketball for Lee Debman 2 years, and Frank Moorhead won. And I wouldn't trade. One thing that's happened is that kids these days have been somewhat forced to specialize in a sport.
Mm-hmm.
If you play baseball nowadays, you pretty much got to play summer ball, fall baseball, and all that. And I'm not against those, but I would not trade my football and basketball and baseball experience for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 made a definite impact on who I am and who I became. And I think sometimes kids today aren't afforded the opportunities to do several sports because of specialization, and I don't know what we can really do about that, but I wouldn't trade my experience for anything.
All right. Well, baseball season will be here, as the old cliche, before you know it. You got any speaking engagement, anything coming up in the meantime?
I do not at the moment. I've had a few opportunities. I try to be careful because you can, when November and December, I don't have a lot of baseball things going on. That's a real good time to catch up on family stuff.
Yeah.
Take the boys hunting. We love November because our schedules are such that we can go hunting, do things together. I do have a clinic that I'm doing in Richmond, Virginia in early January, 2 or 3 days where I share with high school coaches, and that's a privilege to be there at the baseball bash. But I've had to I try to be careful not to overcommit to those things, because all of a sudden you can find every weekend of your year tied up with things like that. And if there's one thing I want to make sure that I do is keep the balance between profession and home, because those kids grow up quick, and you want to spend every moment you can with them.
All right.
That's right. Well, Rusty, it's been a pleasure having you.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Neighbor.
That's right. Throw a rock at your house or something.
Throw a rock and just miss the window.
Miss the window.
Hit the brick, and we'll be all
Well,
right.
I've learned so much about you and Cherryville, your hometown, and I'm still learning about Cherryville.
You know what?
It's a great place.
She doesn't go in. You got to get in the car and go into Cherryville.
Rusty, I was going to tell the whole world that.
She's been to Food Line.
She's
I've been to Food Line.
Well, good. That's a start.
Next time I'm going to go up a block further.
What about all the Lotta Burgers?
Yeah, we got to get her a Lotta Burger one day. Yeah,
we got to get you. We got to get you in there. When I'm driving through, I'll stop and get a Lotta Burger. I'm not going to name where I go because I'll go to any of the places because I don't want to advertise for one over the other. But I'll take a Lotta Burger from any place in Cherryville because they're all excellent. And people talk about that in Cleveland County. They'll say, "Do y'all have Lotta Burgers?" I said, "You have got to go and get one before you have anything to say about it."
That's right. You got it. You don't know what you're missing.
Yep.
I've got relatives from South Carolina, a sister that lives in South Carolina. Anytime she visits, cousins, wherever they come from.
Got to have a Lotta Burger.
Got to get a Lotta Burger.
Yep.
All right. Great success to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
I appreciate that, and appreciate all the folks in Cherryville, and hope they'll come out and see us.
Okay. Rusty Stroupe, our guest today, the head coach at Gardner-Webb University on the baseball team, and Cherryville native, and all-around good guy.
Absolutely.
How about that?
Sandy, tomorrow
we have Emily Carroll and Jordan Gray, two Crest students who won the talent contest out there, won first place. They're going to be with us. And on Wednesday, we'll be talking to Dr. Ratchford from Belmont Abbey College. She's the associate professor at Belmont Abbey. And, matter of fact, she's going to be en route to Statesville, but she's going to pull over and call us about the John F. Kennedy 50 years later.
Okay. All right, folks. We hope you'll join us for those shows and more. We're on the air every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here on Big O Country. We'll see you tomorrow then.